If you work in Pennsylvania or run a business here, it's important to know who qualifies for workers' compensation benefits. The Workers' Compensation Act is in place to help if someone gets injured at work. So what exactly needs to happen for someone to get these benefits? Well, two main things matter. First, the injury must happen to someone who has an employer. Independent contractors are not covered by workers' compensation unless they have been misclassified and should have been employees in the first place. Second, the injury needs to be related to the job, but let's break this down a little bit more. First, there needs to be an actual work relationship. This means the person who got hurt must be an employee and they got hurt doing their job. For example, if you're working and you get hurt because of something that's part of your job, then you might get workers' compensation benefits. Next, the injury itself is important. It has to be something that happens because of the job. So if you're at work and you slip and fall while doing your job, that's the kind of thing that would qualify. Now, where does Pennsylvania law apply? It covers all injuries that happen in Pennsylvania, no matter where you were actually hired. Plus, it can even cover some injuries that happen outside of Pennsylvania. This is especially true if most of your work is in Pennsylvania or you were hired here. Let's talk about time limits. If you get hurt at work, you have to tell your employer within 120 days of getting hurt. This is so important because if you don't provide notice within the requirements of the law, you can't file your claim. There's also a special rule called the discovery rule for certain kinds of injuries. Sometimes you might not realize right away that your injury is because of your job. This rule gives you more time to tell your employer about your injury once you figure out it's connected to your work. What about giving notice? When you tell your employer about your injury, you need to be clear. Tell them what happened and how it's connected to your job. This helps make sure everyone understands what's going on. Finally, let's talk about filing a claim. You have 3 years from the date of injury to file a claim for workers' compensation benefits. But there's certain things that can change this time limit. For example, if your employer doesn't act fairly or there are delays in getting the information you need, you may have more time. And that's the basics of workers' compensation eligibility in Pennsylvania. But keep in mind, this is general information and shouldn't be relied on for legal advice. If you are injured at work, you should report the injury, seek medical attention, and speak to a lawyer in that order and right away.